There I was, middle school me, just sitting there, crying on my bed, just having these like overflowing thoughts, and they were always negative. They weren't even positive whatsoever. So I couldn't even think straight. I knew the value of books. Like I'd open a book I couldn't read because I'd have these thoughts like, I'm gonna be honest, thoughts I was having were quite retarded. It was just like, oh, no girls will ever like me, and my parents don't like me, and I should just kill myself because what's the point in living? So you know these thoughts, right? You might be having them, you might be experiencing them now. One habit that's going to change your life, if this is what's making your life horrible and miserable right now, is journaling. I'm going to explain in depth, the best I can, how I started journaling and how you can start and incorporate it and make it a good habit in your life. And you're going to be so thankful for this. It's going to be nuts. So are you ready? There's two types of journaling, and the first one tends to be less effort, but it's the one that makes you happier, which is quite nice. So the first thing you're going to do, and it's called gratitude journaling. What you're going to do is you're essentially going to start with small objects, and you're going to repeat the sentence, I am grateful for, and you're just going to say, for example, I'm grateful for a book, or I'm grateful for like this pen, something very simple. How you can progressively overload this is by adding a because next to it. So what you want to do, because you're trying to build a habit, if you start too complicated, it won't become a habit. It'll be one of those things that you did like yesterday, but then you don't have the motivation to do today. You're going to start very simple. I am grateful for this pen. Next, you're going to progressively overload this, and you're going to be like, I'm grateful for this pen because X, like my mom bought this for me or something. That's how you're going to start. And the next level, so if level 1 is just I'm grateful, second level is I'm grateful for because, the next level is you're going to move on to people, which tends to be, it feels cringier. It feels cringier to do. It feels unnatural and abnormal for us to say I am grateful for this person. And the next level is because. So you can just say I'm grateful for my friend, I'm grateful for my mom, I'm grateful for my dad. Next level is because. Now there's a stage 5 to this, and it's actually it's the cringiest, it's the hardest thing to do because there's a lot of emotions which play, and this is essentially where the tears kind of come in, because the stage 5 is writing gratitude letters to people. So rather than just writing lines like you're in school, like a punishment, you're going to write gratitude letters to somebody. And for example, you're going to write a gratitude letter to somebody. For example, I might write one for my friend, right? So what you can do, it's always better on paper because it's more authentic and it just shows that you care more. But if you really have to, you can also send a message to someone. Basically, what you do is you write, I'm grateful for you because, and then you just start explaining why you're grateful for them. Naturally, your mind will, because we're humans, it's in our mind that we're grateful for things, but we don't verbalize it because there's this meaning that if we're too vulnerable and too showing of our emotions, especially as guys, it's vulnerability, it's unsafe, it's all this stuff. So it's all in your mind, you just have to trust that. And you're just going to write that down. And what you can do is either you can burn it, destroy it, or you can actually send this to people, like send a photo of your letter, or literally bring them into your room and just start freaking reading it to them. Which is actually, it's extremely powerful because this is exactly what you can do to build better relationships with people, because they'll be so grateful for it. And even if they find it weird, like I know you have this fear inside that they'll find it like weird, like, oh, this is cringy, then they're lost, because this is actually more beneficial to you. It's actually, it's more beneficial for you anyway. The next journaling method. So we first started with the gratitude journaling. The next journaling method is deep journaling. This is harder. It's harder at first. It's a hard habit to get into because there's quite a lot of writing to do. But essentially, it's something that's hard to start first, but then you roll off to it. So what is deep journaling? Well, essentially, this is where you're going to touch into those really deep thoughts that you're having, whether it's suicidal, whether it's pressure, anxiety, all that stuff. You are simply going to write down exactly how you feel without judgment on the paper. Now, the common tendency is to write it like with grammatically correct, like with spellings, because schools kind of conditions you that the only way to write down stuff is correctly. You're actually going to write this down for the writer, so for yourself. Not even for your future self, you're going to write it for your present moment self. And it looks a bit strange. You're going to exactly write, because even I struggled with this in the past. I struggle Jesus Christ. I struggle with it now as well. But what you want to do is just write down exactly what you think, and try not to slip into that mindset that you're writing for the reader. You'll tell, because you'll start writing like, I want to die because I want it to be this way, and this is because of an event. You see, when you say this is because of an event, if you didn't really think that, but you're trying to justify your thoughts, we're not trying to justify our thoughts here. We're just trying to spill this on the page and let the writing do its work for us. That's what we're trying to do. Try not to go into this with too much judgment. If you're on like the third page of writing really deep, then try to introduce some mini judgmental statements or questions, like maybe, when has this creeped up before, or is there a pattern I can see these recurring thoughts happening in my life? So that's what deep journaling is. You want to get really, really, really deep. And I remember the first time I was deep journaling, I had a lot of feminine energy, so I was in the flow and love and everything, and dating was in my mind the whole time. So a lot of the stuff on the front page was like my former crushes, and just me trying to like not make myself feel bad for them, because I don't know, I felt creepy or something. So I was just like writing down, like, oh god, this was long ago, man. This was March this year. I was just writing stuff. I was trying to like justify why I shouldn't like them, because I was so ashamed that I was. So I was just kind of thinking, I was playing rugby, but then I kind of quit earlier than I should have, because I always thought that I was a pussy, because every time I try tackle, if you know what rugby is kind of like as a sport, it's quite physical. So every time I try to go tackle, it would always be half effort, because I didn't want to get injured. And it's until now, after a few journaling sessions, that I realized that the fear of getting injured, it was just because I just didn't want my parents to deal with me getting injured all the time, like hospital bills and everything. So that's why I couldn't accept that that's a sport, because it's a sport, you can get injured, it's a part of the sport. I couldn't accept that. So I was just having these really negative thoughts, and I was just journaling them, and it took me a few sessions to figure that out. And now I've kind of reached this level of relax, this level of flow state, where if you journaled for enough time, so there'll be moments of your life, there'll be periods of your life where you feel just like, you feel empty in the mind, like you've just wrote everything that you possibly could have thought of on the paper, and you no longer have to think it, because you're at peace. That's wonderful. It must be amazing. I'm talking to you now. I'm generally talking to you, but it must be amazing for you right now just to think like, oh, wait, this might actually work. I've been thinking way too much. I wonder what it's like to be peaceful in the mind. So that's essentially what deep journaling is. And that doesn't mean that you'll be peaceful forever in your mind. There will be events that kind of come up, and they will trigger some even deeper parts of like your psychology and your limbic brain, which is essentially your oldest part of your brain. And you'll have more to write. But journaling is fantastic. It's what world leaders have done since freaking Marcus Aurelius to like, from Marcus Aurelius to like Winston Churchill to like modern day now. It's what us humans, it's what us men were meant to do. We're meant to journal, and this is considered a cringy it's considered a cringy hobby or a gay hobby, because I don't know what like girls are supposed to do. I really don't understand it, but I do know that some people are a bit like, they shy away, they don't want to do it because it's like gay, or it's like, because it's in touch with our feelings. That's why I can somewhat understand, but just pick up the goddamn book, because freaking, we've been doing this for centuries. We've been doing this for centuries. So if that created strong men, then we might as well create strong men now in a like population of such weak ass men, which I used to be when I was sitting on that bed crying. That was the weakest I've ever been. And then I started journaling and my life changed. What I want you to do is I want you to hit the subscribe button first. And then what you want to do is find a notebook. If you don't have a notebook, buy it, and just immediately hop on. Use the tips from this video. Incorporate that gratitude journaling in the morning or sometime in the day, and the deep journaling as well. So those two, and your life's going to completely change. You're going to be happier, more appreciative of the world around you, and you won't actually have those negative thoughts thinking, flowing around and messing up your mind and everything. So hope you enjoyed the video. Let me down in the comments below what you think of the video, and if you've tried it, how it is. Tell other people how it is as well, and see ya.